Hello, everyone. Welcome to the live stream from FoodMate. Today's topic is about the path to compliance for infant formula in China. My name is Chao, international regulatory and standard specialist. So today's topic is divided into three parts, like the contents. And we will start with part one, background. So, infant formula in China is regulated under the relevant laws and regulations, like laws and regulations drafted from the State Council or department rules and normative documents that's formulated by the regulatory authorities. Relevant laws, like most important, is the food safety law, and also the department rules like administrative measures for the registration of product formula of infant formula milk powder, and a series of supporting documents like registration material items and requirements, the guidelines for stability research, and guidelines for labels, and the detailed review rules for production licensing, and so on. So from food safety law of the Article 74, it says the state executes strict regulation over special food, which include infant formula. And Article 81 says infant formula milk powder shall be registered. And during registration, materials like R&D report and other materials should be submitted. So from the food safety law, we can see so far what should be registered is infant formula, that is the powdered product, and the liquid product is not covered by registration so far. At the beginning of this year, which is the beginning of 2024, a draft version for food safety law revision was released. The expression of infant formula milk powder was intended to be replaced by the infant formula milk powder and liquid milk. So we believe in the future, the registration mechanism for liquid milk will be established. Another important document is administrative measures for the production licensing. So in these measures, it gives basically the framework or the blueprint for the registration. And it also gives the definition for the registration, which is an activity under which the state administration for market regulation, sometimes we call it SAMR, carries out the evaluation of the registration and gives the final decision whether to approve or not to approve the registration. So from these measures, it defines the duties for two stakeholders. One is the Center for Food Evaluation, or CFE, that is the review institute in the administrative measures, which is responsible for material acceptance, the technical review of the material, on-site audit, and the certificate preparation and delivery. So after the evaluation of the materials and after the on-site audit, it will give the conclusion to SAMR, which will make the final decision whether to approve or not to approve the registration. So for the supporting documents, detailed review rules for production licensing is another important document. It gives the definition, for example, of the infant formula milk powder, which is a product of the main protein source is from cow sheep or sheep milk or their milk product. And the product is processed by physical processing, and the finished product is a powdered product. So first, let's see the protein source. From the definition, we can see the protein should come from either cow milk or sheep milk, and only to improve the protein quality, amino acid monomers can be added, and a list of compound for the amino acid is listed in the appendix of the product standard. And I will show you the list for standard in a few slides later. And other protein source like proteins from camel milk, from the buffalo milk or soy milk, and the plant protein currently are not covered by the registration. So this is the protein source for infant formula. And by processing and the physical processing, it means during the production, there should be no chemical reaction. Uh, let's using copper as an example. If I want to fortify copper in my product, I can use copper sulfate as the compound. What I cannot do is I mix copper hydroxide and sulfuric acid. Although this is a simple acid-base reaction and will give me the copper sulfate as my target compound, because this changed the material, which means I don't get the copper sulfate from the beginning, but it is formed from chemical reaction. This type of reaction cannot occur during the registration. So for the powdered milk, powdered product, it's very easy to understand that the product must be a powder. It cannot be a liquid product. So again, from the food safety law and the detailed review rules, we can see the current registration only covers or defines the product as the powdered product. And besides the food safety law near end of 2023, that is last year, a detailed review rules for liquid product was released. And we believe in the future, the registration mechanism for liquid product will be improved. So this is a relevant standard for infant formula in China. We have the product standard, which are divided into three age groups that we call the stage one, covers the product aged for 0 to 6 months old infant, and stage two product target infant aged 6 to 12-year-old, and stage three product target young children aged 12 to 36 months old. And we have the production standard that has requirement for the production side, like equipment, the facilities, and so on. We also have the standard for labeling, like one is the general standard requirement, another is a labeling standard for the special food, like infant formula. We also have the standard for using of food additives and including the food fortifiers, as well as the standard for mycotoxins, contaminants, and so on. So you can notice that the standard here for the production side is starts with a GB/T, and while others are start with a GB with the numbers. So all standards starting with the GB and followed by the numbers are mandatory to follow in China, while the GB/T standard are not mandatory, but we still recommend enterprise to comply with this standard as much as possible. The same as the documents I mentioned a few slides earlier, that the administrative measures, the detailed review rules, and other documents, currently we think they are all mandatory to follow for registration. And although the detailed review rules, technically they are applicable to the enterprise in China, for registration, they are also important reference for overseas factories. So like a list of equipment and the production type and the process, we recommend an enterprise to follow the detailed review rules as much as possible as well. Next, we will move to the key points for compliance. As you may already know that registration for infant formula is a systematic work, and the entire work covers the preparation, the production, the prepare of the documents, the correction phase, and the on-site audit. It is a very complicated work, and due to time limit, I will focus on the four categories here. That are ingredient compliance, the product recipe compliance, the label and instruction compliance, and advertising compliance. So first, for ingredients, I will talk about the source of dairy raw materials, the use of base powders, the incoming raw material inspections, what key contaminants should be paid attention to, and the use of food additive and the nutritional fortifiers. So for the source of dairy raw materials, as we explained a few slides earlier, the milk must from cow or sheep, and amino acid, if necessary, can be used, but they must comply with the list in the product standard. Other protein sources like camel milk, buffalo milk, soy protein, we suggest not to use them. For the use of base powder, currently, if a base powder already complies with the infant formula standard, they cannot be used. In other words, if I have a base powder and this powder already comply with the standard of stage 1 product, then this powder cannot be used for the production of another stage 1 product. Similarly for stage 2 and stage 3, so any base powders complying with the relevant standard cannot be used as the raw material. This is the requirement for base powder. For incoming raw material inspections, so for dairy product like raw milk, milk powder, the whey powder or whey protein powders, they should be inspected batch by batch to make sure they qualify the standard in China. And for stage 1 production, there's an additional requirement for ash in whey powder or whey protein powder. More specifically, the ash content in whey powder should be no more than 1.5%, and ash content in whey protein powder should be no more than 5.5%. For contaminants, there are currently 4 contaminants that should be paid attention to. They are the phthalates, sometimes called the plasticizers, the 3-MCPD, the chloride, and the perchlorate. Phthalate or the plasticizers are most likely used for production of plastics, and if such plastics they are used as part of the equipment like pipes, or they are used as the containers like for the oils, then the plasticizers may migrate to the raw material or even into the finished product. So plasticizer should be monitored and controlled from the raw material, especially the oil raw materials. Likely for 3-MCPD, which stand for 3-monochloropropadiol, is most likely formed during the refinery of the oil product. So this should also be monitored in the oil raw materials. And for registration, should be checked batch by batch for oil raw materials. Chlorate most likely come from the cleaning of the production site, like during the cleaning of the lines or cleaning of the equipment, if any cleaning agent or detergent possibly contains chlorate. The chlorate should be controlled in the finished product as well as the maybe in the equipment. Last one is the perchlorate. This is an environmental contaminant, and for example, in the water, in the soil, and they may eventually get into the animals like cows or sheep, and should be controlled as well in the finished product. During registration, the control measures, the possible source, and the evaluations of all the contaminants should be submitted. Next is the use of food additive and a nutritional fortifier. Currently in China, there is a standard for food additive and a standard for nutritional fortifier. So I will start with the nutritional fortifier. If nutrition would be fortified, and let's use copper as example again. So what I can use is the list of compound on the left side. currently, those four compounds are listed in the standard, which means they can all be used as the source of copper. What I cannot use is any compound not in the list, like copper chloride. Even though the use of copper chloride in some cases that may have no impact on the finished product, because it's not listed in the standard. Currently, it is not an acceptable source for the nutrition of copper. Another example is the use of the food additives. So basically, it's very similar to the use of nutritional fortifier. The food additive should be listed in the standard. And so far, there are three exceptional cases should be paid attention to that are silicon dioxide, arabic gum, and starch sodium octenosuccinate. Those three compounds are commonly used as a component of the nutrient preparations. And so far as we know, most nutrient preparations contain one or more of those food additives. And so far in China, the use of food additives in preparation is not very clear. So the use of those three food additives can refer to the EU regulation, which have a special list that for the nutrient preparations intended for the production of infant formula. And the use of those three food additives in the nutrient preparations can refer to the EU regulation. Other than those three food additives, the use of food additives should all comply with the Chinese standard. So for product recipe, the product recipe should first have a complete breakdown, and all ingredient name in the product recipe should comply with the standard in China. And for the numbers in the recipe, if the numbers have to be summed up, the numbers or the result cannot be rounded up. On the right side, I have an example here for the roundings. On the top, we can see I used vitamin D preparation as the example. What I added is a vitamin D preparation, and the amount is 10, and I have a breakdown here. So the component of the vitamin D preparation is 10, which equals to the vitamin D preparation. In this case, it is okay. But in the bottom right example here, the vitamin D preparation is still 10. The number is not changed, but the component, if I add them up, the total will be 9.9. And for registration purpose, this 9.9 cannot be rounded up to 10. So that means for registration, if there's any breakdown for the component, the sum of the sublayers must equal to the top layer. And in some cases, if there's a little bit over like a 10.1, and this can be accepted for registration. So again, I use vitamin D, for example, here showing the complete breakdown here. So in this case, if I have an antioxidant like DL-alpha tocopherol in the preparation, then I have to show this component in the registration document. If this component is missing, for example, on the right side, then during registration, it may cause some inconsistency because other documents like the specification of the nutrient preparation should be submitted. And during the technical review, they may find this inconsistency here. Another example is the name of the ingredient. It should comply with the standard. For example, mineral premix is a very common used raw material for production. But during registration, a name like a mineral premix cannot be used. A correct name for this is a composite nutritional fortifier. And if multiple raw materials like this is used, we can put numbers like nutritional fortifier 1, 2, 3 behind to uh, make the difference. The next is the label and the instructions. So for this part, I will explain the common name, the trade names, English name include, and also the registered trademarks, and as well as the requirement for the areas of the names and the trademarks. Also the registration number, the nutrient content, the content claims and the functional claims, and some special requirement. First, we start with the names and the trademarks. So suppose this is a part of the product label, and I have here, which is called the main display area. And on the side, this is part of the non-main display area. So on the main display area, I will have the common name, the trade name, the registration numbers, and if possible, or if the enterprise wants, they can use the trademark for the trade name. And if they want to put additional trademarks, they can put the trademarks on the corner of the main display area. They can also use some figures or patterns on the main display area. So the requirement is the area of the trade name should be no more than half of the area of the common name, and the area of the trademark should be no more than 1/4 of the common name. At the meantime, the area of the trademark should be no more than the trade name. For the content claim, as well as the nutrient content from the nutritional table, during shelf life, the actual content for the nutrient should be no less than 80% of the labeled value. And at the meantime, the actual content of the nutrient should be at least the minimum requirement from the standard. And the same for the content claims here. So if I want to claim like this product contains calcium, then I have to make sure the content of the calcium is no less than the minimum requirement from the standard. And for stage 1 and stage 2, there are some special requirements like for stage 1, it must be noted on the label that breast milk is the best food for infant. Only there's no sufficient breast milk or there's no breast milk at all. A stage 1 product can be used. Or for stage 2 product, infants older than 6 months old consuming this product must consume the supplementary food as well. So last, for advertising, I will mainly focus on the absolute expressions, expressions of figures implying the disease treatment, some functional related wordings, and the breastfeeding substitution. So first, the absolute expressions, figures or patterns like crowns, trophies, or gold medals, as well as the wordings like the best settings, the top brand, #1 brand, leading product, the golden product, are all implying the product is #1 or the best product, which it means it is an absolute expression. So all those figures, patterns, or wordings should be avoided. And next is the disease related, like figures of maybe a person coughing or body thermometers or a shield and patterns of virus, like implying this product can keep the babies or infant away from virus, or the wordings like product can avoid colic, take care of allergies, stop coughing, stay away from pathogens. on implying the product has some disease treatment related functions and also should be avoided. Last, some figures like Dr. Cab's figures or patterns of the human organs like the stomach or intestines, or figure of patterns implying a human baby, as well as the wordings like grows faster, better visions, more smart, are all functional related and should be avoided. Or patterns of baby sometimes may imply the product is a substitution for breast milk, which should also be avoided from advertising. So basically, that's the part 2. And part 3 is the registration process and the current registration status for all product in China. So the registration from our point of view can be divided into 3 stages. First is the preparation stage, include the product research and the design and the building of the capacities like the production, the inspection, the research. And the second stage is the production that includes the trial production and running the stability test. Third stage is the registration, that is the preparation of the documents and submission of the document, and followed by a correction phase. And then is the on-site audit. For the chapters, currently there are 9 chapters according to the document requirement. It should be noted that in last year, 2023, a revised version of the administrative measures for the registration was released, and the chapters are slightly different from this. But the supporting document, like the document requirement and items are not revised yet. So far we recommend still follow the previous or the ongoing version of the document requirement, which divides the chapters into the 9 listed here. For the document requirement, these are some general requirements, like A4 size paper should be used, and Chinese should be all in the Simpson style, and English all in the Times New Roman style. Anything not in Chinese must be translated into Chinese. The document should be stamped page by page, except for application form, and 3 photocopies should be submitted with the original copy. And as I mentioned earlier, that some content may appear multiple times in different dossiers, and also there's an online system to fill in the information. So for the same information, if they appear multiple times, they must be consistent. So this is an overall registration process. I listed 3 main phases here. So the first one is acceptance, second one is the technical review, and the third one is the approval. So after the material is accepted, it goes to the technical review, which is the most time-consuming phase. During this phase, the review agency, the CFE, will give some opinions and let the enterprise make some corrections. And after that, we'll goes to the on-site audit and also sampling and inspection from the on-site audit. Every main steps here are marked with the times here. So except for supplement and correction, which currently is 3 months, that's roughly about 60 working days. All other steps here are all calculated in working days to be finished. So this is the overview for the registered product in China. So the data is analyzed until the mid of May this month. We can see a total of a little more than 2,300 products have been registered. And in 2021, we have the product standard revised. The revised standard, we call them the new standard. And before or the previous version, we call them the old standard. We can see about half of the products are registered under the new standard, and about half products are registered under the old standard. This blue line here indicates the percentage of the products from the year as a proportion to the total registered product. You can see 2017 has the most products registered, followed by 2023, which is the second most registered during the year. Some of the products before 2021 are also labeled as the products registered under the new standard. That is because after the new standard was released, some products registered under the old standard were changed or modified according to the new standard, and they are considered as the new standard product. So from this diagram, we also analyzed the animal origins, basically either cow milk-based products or sheep-based products. We can see about 3/4 of the products are registered using the cow milk as the main protein source, while about only 1/4 of the product use the sheep milk as the main protein source. So this blue line here in the figure shows the proportion of the products using sheep milk as the main protein to the all registered product in that year. For example, in 2017, 21% of registered product are sheep milk based, while others are all cow milk based. And the dark line here in the diagram, like the green line here, is the proportion of the product using sheep milk to all products for imported products. We can see it's interesting that compared with the domestic enterprise, the imported products are preferred to use the cow milk as the main protein source, like almost every year except 2019. A lower proportion of imported products use sheep milk compared with the overall products. But we can see in 2024, so the number is very close and is increasing or higher from other years. It probably means more enterprise prefer to use the sheep milk as the main protein source, both for the domestic enterprise and the imported or the overseas enterprise. Last is the country of origins for the imported products. So far, there are 473 imported infant formula from 15 countries. Either we count by the old standard or the new standard or overall. The top 2 countries are New Zealand and the Netherlands. From this diagram, we will also see there are 6 countries that have only the product registered under the old standard, like Australia, Spain. There are so far no products registered under the new standard. So maybe enterprise in those countries are trying to adjust the market strategies or some other reasons. Basically, that's for today's presentation. And if there's any questions, or you would like to find any local agencies to handle the registration or need help for the registration, you can let us know and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you.